And as we mentioned, the president plans to divert $6 billion from the Defense Department towards his wall. That's $2.5 billion will actually come from a program that seeks to counter the flow of illegal drugs into the U.S. Another $3.5 billion will come from the military's construction budget. Today, President Trump was asked how he can guarantee that the money going to the wall won't actually take away from necessary projects. Here's what the president had to say.
We had certain funds that are being used at the discretion of generals, at the discretion of the military. Some of them haven't been allocated yet, and some of the generals think that this is more important. I was speaking to a couple of them. They think this is far more important than what they were going to use it for. I said, what were you going to use it for? And I won't go into details, but didn't sound too important to me.
Let's check in with CBS News national security correspondent David Martin, who joins us, of course, from the Pentagon. David, what more do we know about exactly how this will affect the Pentagon?
Well, every year the Congress authorizes the Pentagon to work on scores of military construction projects around the world, everything from ammo dump in the air base in Japan, family housing in Guam, to chilled water circulators here in the Pentagon. And if this national emergency decree gets through the courts, some of those projects are now going to have to wait because the money is going to be taken away from them and diverted to the wall. The Pentagon is not releasing any list of projects that's going to be affected. I think they don't want to spark political outrage when congressmen find out that construction projects in their own district have been put on hold. My guess is that most of these projects that get put on hold are going to end up being overseas projects because they don't come with angry congressmen. The other pocket of money is the counter-narcotics funding, and that is military support to law enforcement agencies like the DEA, like the Border Patrol, who try to intercept the drugs. So that could mean taking a couple helicopters away from DEA, or it could also mean giving less money to states to send their own National Guard up to the border. So that will be taking away from one kind of counter-narcotics operation and giving it to the wall.
David, I want to ask you also, the president today teased an announcement about ISIS. Here's what he had to say.
We have a lot of great announcements having to do with Syria and our success with the eradication of the caliphate, and that'll be announced over the next 24 hours.
General Joseph Votel, the top general in the Middle East, said this week that ISIS remains a threat, and he disagrees with pulling troops out of Syria. What do you make of that disconnect, David?
Well, it's the difference between winning a battle and winning the war. U.S.-backed forces are about to win the battle against the physical caliphate of ISIS, the territory that they once controlled. Whether it takes another 24 hours or 48 hours, that fight is almost over. But the point that generals like Joseph Votel are making is that even after the caliphate is no more, ISIS will still have leaders, it will still have fighters who have escaped from these pockets to live on and fight another day. It will still have sources of money, although nothing like the resources it had when it could roll into town and rob all the local banks. But they are still going to have the capacity to fight on. But that said, defeating the caliphate, taking away the last piece of territory that they hold, will be a major milestone in the battle against ISIS, in the war against ISIS.
I want to also talk to you about Afghanistan. Here's what President Ashraf Ghani told the BBC when asked about the plan to draw down U.S. troops there.
Fear that the Americans are just going to pack and leave suddenly in April or may, I think is exaggerated. Our discussions have been very constructive, and I believe that this partnership will continue. With a changed context, we'll be able to adjust to each other.
Will it take 1 year, 5 years, 10 years?
I hope much less.
David, what are military officials at the Pentagon saying about cutting back troops in Afghanistan?
Well, actually, General Votel disclosed today that the U.S. is pulling more than 1,000 troops out of Afghanistan. The highest number during the Trump administration has been 14,000. I'm told it's now much closer to 12,000. But this is not a pullout ordered by President Trump. This is the American commander in Afghanistan, General Scott Miller, just getting troops he doesn't feel he needs out of the country, just to make it easier to run a more streamlined operation. The big withdrawals that everybody's been talking about, when last December President Trump decreed that half the 14,000 troops be pulled out, leaving us only with 7,000. That has not been ordered yet and is not being executed. And I think those withdrawals will depend on the course of negotiations with the Taliban, because, of course, our troops there are one of the main bargaining chips we have in trying to negotiate a peace with the Taliban. And if we're going to pull them out, we might as well get something for it.
David Martin coming to us from the Pentagon. David, thank you very much.
Sure.